do watch Malcolm and Marie though on Netflix, the Sam Levinson pandemic conceptualized and created and filmed and shot movie, starring only two characters, Zendaya and John David Washington, two people we like a lot. Um,
Mhm.
you know, black and white movie. I think that's a bit awards baity has been the word thrown around on it. And I think I can agree, but uh, I will say the one thing I came away from this movie is it's beautifully shot and like very aesthetically pleasing to look at the whole time. I thought
Mhm.
that was probably my favorite part. Um, there's some things I don't think I like so much, and we'll talk about that. But Dave, how are you feeling about Malcolm and Marie?
Yeah, I liked it. It's definitely unique. Has a lot going on. A lot a lot is happening with the discourse of this movie in a short time, no question. But I did like it, even if it's challenging. A lot of people don't like it at all.
Yeah, it's sitting at 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think if you had told me that on Friday, I would have expected the movie to just be really bad. And I don't think the movie's bad at all. Like I think it's like I think the performances are pretty good. I think Zendaya much better than John David Washington in my opinion. I think that's also kind of the characters in this movie.
A lot of dialogue.
Yeah, it's heavy in terms of like it's like two people kind of going around the ring and just like throwing punches nonstop. There's one part I think it's near the end. I think he might say a couple times where Malcolm goes, "You're exhausting," and I just was like, "This movie is exhausting." Like my brain is tired listening to you two go back and forth all night. Were you feeling the same way?
Yeah, it's tough. And you could tell, like, John David Washington, I feel like he just kind of settled on that one gear for his
Yeah,
performance. I like it. Like he's just has movie star qualities like
oh
Zendaya.
yeah.
You just like looking at him and watching him speak and do
Mhm.
things and walk around. But like you could tell like he was having trouble like keeping up with the dialogue and like I mean the meta nature of the film leading that into the reception is interesting to think about because this was like a really buzzy thing. It's like, oh, they shut down Euphoria season 2 production like everything else. Sam Levinson made a whole new script and filmed a secret COVID movie in 2 weeks with a 20-person crew, and he made it with Johnny Washington Zendaya. Wow. And the Netflix is like, wow, here's 30 million. Like, we'll
Yeah.
run this for Oscars. And it's like, oh, wow. Like, it was all gearing up and like all this mystique, right? And then fast forward, and it's kind of like the mystique about his second movie that came out in 2018, Assassination Nation. Buzzy movie, big Sundance sell,
Mhm.
and then kind of a mixed reception, you know. And it's weird to see like Sam Levinson kind of get raked over the coals again because how warmly Euphoria has been received, especially the Euphoria specials, which
Yeah.
were also concocted during COVID. Like you can tell he's really like interested in like thinking outside the box with all kinds of stuff. But I feel like there's just like a few too many times he like pokes the bear when he made this movie that just kind of annoys people, whether it's the script, whether it's the acting, the casting decisions, or just the constant needling about like the active criticism. Because meta
Mhm.
wise, Levinson has an interesting relationship to criticism that he's had through his career, and you hear him, rag on the white lady at the LA Times.
Mhm.
Yes, it's John Day Washington saying it, but it's all Sam's words. And I can tell why it would turn some people off. In addition to the movie being exhausting to watch, even if you're enjoying it, just by the
Right.
nature of it not having any ancillary parts, but besides two characters speaking in this one place.
Yeah. And it's not even like I think it would feel less exhausting if they actually like gave into the tension of just like also wanting to like be with each other because there's certain parts where it feels like they're about to like have sex or at least like just be intimate, and then one of them will be like, I have to go to the bathroom. Malcolm gets up to go to the bathroom, like don't move a muscle, just stay
Yeah.
exactly
There's
like
always
this.
one
I'm
more
enjoying
thing.
this. Right. And then he comes back and Zendaya has her armor back on, ready to fight again. It's just like, man, like you never really get a break in this movie from the battle. And it's a really tough battle to sit with because they're incredibly cutting. Like I walked away from this movie and I was like, I don't know if I fight the way normal people fight, because when I get in arguments with like the people I care about in my life, I never this mean. Like I don't think I've ever been as mean as they are to each other in my entire life to anybody. But
Yeah,
they're brutal, man, and
yeah,
it's tough.
definitely, definitely. Another piece of criticism would be that Levinson, as the sole writer for the script, is writing for black characters, and not only writing
Mm,
for black characters, but speaking to the black experience as like black creatives, right? And Malcolm, um, his identity as a black director is like a big part of that LA Times review that really sets him off. Like it's
mm,
a kind of consistent theme throughout the film, and he says that Zendaya and JDW were collaborative in that script. I don't know if I can speak about it as eloquently as some black critics have been, but I can understand
mm.
obviously why that's a sticking point. One though that I kind of push back on a little bit is the age gap between the casting. John David Washington, a new performer, but in his mid 30s. Zendaya
Mm.
is what, 22, 24, whatever it is.
Yeah, very young.
It's an over 10-year gap. Now I was thinking about that. Like I knew he was a little older, but for whatever reason, it kind of sat okay with me because this is only John Day Washington's like third lead performance. It's Zendaya's first. He feels like a new performer still, even though he's older. And he
Right.
actually said in press that Zendaya is more experienced in the industry than he is.
Hmm.
So it's like I understand like it's a symptom of Hollywood where it's really hard for older women to be cast in
Yeah.
stuff, no question. But I think I just view like John Day Washington as a younger actor than he actually is because he's still relatively new in his career. But
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also was thinking, uh, having the characters played by these actors who are, I mean, like you mentioned, Zendaya isn't necessarily like a newbie to the industry at all, but I think just kind of starting to really hit her stride in terms of like dramatic work and getting more and more feature roles. I wonder if this movie could have been served by having some more seasoned people playing these roles. But I come up short in thinking about who would be a good person to step in there. Like if you want to keep both the characters as black characters, then um, like Regina King came to mind because I feel like there's like some nuance to that character, but she feels a little too old. I'm trying to think who would be kind of in that range of like maybe like mid 30s female and male actors who have been in the business and could flesh out these characters to a bit more of a degree. Because like you also said, Washington, he never comes down from 11 on the dial, and it feels like there are just some moments where he could have hit home more emotionally if he wasn't just constantly like berating. But that also might be how Levinson wanted him to play the character. I don't know. It's tough. I'm not sure how to improve the movie with through the acting, but it feels like there's something to be desired there, I guess.
well, and I think that's just kind of it should all just flow back to the script, right? Like this was
Right.
a quickly conceived script that has very little else going on. It's this rambling argument between two
Mhm.
people where they take turns dressing each other down, but also speaking to like greater societal issues through their own experience. Like it's trying to be quite heady, and I don't think it's definitely not as intelligent as it thinks it is, unfortunately, and
Yeah.
that kind of colors the performance and you know the quality of the film as a result. But I think I was just kind of struck with how unique it still felt to me. Like, yeah, black and white, not anything new, right?
Right.
But that with like the unique setting, this is the Caterpillar House in Carmel, California. It's a famous home,
Mhm.
and actually, apparently, it was chosen as the filming location because in that municipality in California, filming permits weren't required, so he basically could get away with making this movie during COVID. And I was like, oh wow, that's like incredibly convenient that it
Yeah.
made logistical sense to shoot at this really aesthetically pleasing home. Cool.
Hmm.
But like you have that cool home, and because we never leave it, you pan around. Like I really like that one shot when they looking through the windows of like the bedroom and stuff. Like that with the black and white, and just like how like like debonair the two actors look because they're just
Yeah.
coming back from this film premiere. They look great. Like it's like I don't know. Like I'm with this still, but yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like thematically a lot of people have serious issues with it, and I totally understand. But I
Yeah.
was still kind of entertained, even though it is tough to watch at times, no question.
Yeah. No, I was definitely entertained, and I was thinking more just about like some of the technical choices, and I think there was some really not things I didn't like so much. I thought the music choices were really great songs, but I think almost like too on the nose at times for what the times they were being played and what they were trying to say.
Rick
But
James
then
one in the beginning was pretty sick.
yeah, that was great, and the vocals on that are just so crisp and loud. It's just really really fun. Um, but I really liked how he used like the different spaces of the house and like that to like kind of symbolize different things going on for each character, or like there's that scene where I think Malcolm's outside drinking and you see but it's like a close up on Zendaya on the other side of the screen like smoking a cigarette in a totally different part of the house, and how they're both like kind of going through these things but like
Hmm.
outdoors and like experience what they're experiencing. You can kind of see in both. I thought that was brilliantly done. um like having Marie like go missing at that point in the movie, and then John David Washington like go out and like stumbling after her. I was like, this is like a really
Yeah,
good way to kind of like capture this like dynamic where she'll like try to like get away from him, and he's like
yeah,
constantly after her, and even when she's just like trying to like go pee. Like it's I thought it was like really brilliantly done in some
right.
respects. So
Yeah, I really enjoyed the scene with the knife that ends in the
yeah,
double birds. I thought that was really well played. Zendaya's probably one of her best moments in the film,
yeah,
and that's actually another meta moment because it's playing on a relationship with Zendaya. Her best role, of course, is Rue on Euphoria, which is a very similar character in terms of substance abuse things and stuff.
yep,
So it's like kind of playing on your past relationship with Levinson and Zendaya. Um, I think if one moment that I really enjoyed in one of the many rambling moments from Malcolm, I liked how he really, and this is really just it's Levinson's voice box, obviously, but like I really enjoyed the comment about criticism that like just kind of picks apart the choices made and suggests hypothetical alternatives versus actually just judging what was done. And I'm like, oh, I really like that. I agree with that. I think that that's like really hacky criticism. We all do it. We certainly do it too. But I think that's a really good point.
yeah,
And I liked hearing that. And then some of his other points maybe
mhm,
aren't the best points, or it's like kind of like really like dramatic. But that
yeah,
one I think really stuck with me in terms of like because the topic of criticism stays a topic in the film much longer than I expected. I knew it was going to be in there at some point. I didn't know it was going to be this prevalent, but I
yeah.
did enjoy that moment.
No, I think there's a lot to like about the movie. I think the criticisms are fair though, and um, overall, I'm just grateful we got this movie.
Yeah,
Kind of given the
it's cool.
circumstances, how it's brought about. I love seeing those two actors together. I hope we get to see them act in other things together too, because I feel like they definitely are at each other's level for sure. So, um, last question for you on the movie, Dave. Do you eat your Kraft macaroni and cheese like that, like a savage?
Yeah, it was a loud eater, huh?
Yeah, just really
I
shoveling it in.
I saw one review that was like taking it the other way, and it's like Marie doesn't need to be this dramatic about making box macaroni and cheese. Like
That's true.
you're not
Like
slaving at the stove. Like
no.
relax, girl.
Yeah, I think it was just like and
Yeah,
another thing at that point. But
yeah,
um, all right, we're gonna wrap up there. What do we got for next week?
yeah. I just wanted to mention real quick.
Oh,
Sam Levinson. I was looking at his stuff. We know Euphoria season 2 is in progress. We'll get it when we get it. He also has a screenplay credit on Deep Water, which is the Adrian Lyne movie coming out later this year, which is where Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas met.
yeah.
I was like, huh. I wonder what he brings to that movie. Interesting. So we'll find out in time.